Welcome back to this week's Gear Change episode of the Drivetime podcast. I'm joined again in the studio by Anson Moniz, who is the VP of Product at Keyloop. So it's the Gear Change episode, and we want to delve into a little bit about what we talked about in the main episode. So it was all about everything to do with e-commerce, supply, demand, what's going on, and how we can make sure that we understand how to make sure we've got the right stock in the right part of the country, depending on what consumers are looking for. So it would be really helpful just to refresh on some key retailer strategies from the main episode and just to recap on what we kind of covered in that app.
Okay, so we talked about obviously having an e-commerce website, having a nice clean looking website to not create confusion for the customers, but also give them trust and confidence in you as a business. We talked about how we can use our inventory management tools to always have the right vehicle at the right price, described correctly, right? And again, that data obviously flows through to the website. So having all of that, having the merchandising of your inventory correct is key. Having a website to present your business to customers is key. And then having a marketing or a digital marketing strategy to actually drive more customers into your website. And then the final part really is having a slick operational process around lead management, quoting, and then fulfillment. And again, really trying to provide omnichannel technology to, cater for all the demands now of today's modern day consumer.
One of the things that I know is a real problem still, and I hear Nick King talk about it all the time when they do their research, is how many lost leads there are from those initial inquiries through to people actually completing and converting into a customer. So I think it's really important to talk about the KPIs and how you start to measure in your business what's working. So don't just throw a load of stuff and hope that it sticks. Actually be more targeted and strategic about what you're doing. So what are the KPIs? Because I've heard you describe this and it was like, oh, that makes so much sense. I think we've sometimes overcomplicated the area of KPIs and we're measuring so many things. One thing I know you've done in your job with your teams is we're just going to be hyper-focused on some of the key KPIs. Yeah. Can you just explain what those are in the domains that you work in?
Yeah, sure. So like the KPIs we look at in demands, and there's about 12 of them, and I won't kill you with all 12 of them, but the core ones we look at, acquire, are, and I mentioned it earlier, is all about the cost per acquisition, like really helping to drive down the cost of acquisition. And the way you can do that is by having a more efficient spend on your marketing or a website that can harvest more leads for the same amount of spend, right? So cost per acquisition is a key one. Like obviously the marketing cost and then the number of leads you generate all feed into that one metric. Yeah. And then when we look at our convert technology, again, the key KPI that I look at is how well do we convert those leads into customers or sales, right? So again, be laser focused around how you convert those leads into sales. When you look at the typical conversion rate today of a lead to a sale, the best dealers are running at about 13%, right? The bad dealers, they're running anywhere from 5% up to 13%. So, if you look at 1,000 leads, right, you're only selling 130 cars, right, at best, right? So what's happened to those that other 870 customers that wanted to buy a car?
That didn't get to you.
They've probably fallen out the process, right? They've probably been not responded to. Right, there's stuff that's happened throughout that process for them to decide, hey, I'm not going to buy a car today, right? And I look at those 1,000 leads and think, well, actually, tiny little tweaks at the top of that funnel means massive gains at the bottom of the funnel, right? So if you can fix that bit of the funnel around how you capture and nurture those leads, then it will turn into sales at the end of it.
So what should retailers be looking at if they've only got a 13% conversion rate from those 1,000 leads into 130 vehicles? What are the micro tweaks they should be looking at?
Yeah, so they first and foremost is they need to look at each step of that process, right, and work out why those leads falling out the process.
Which bucket is leaking?
Yeah, which bucket is leaking, right, and do your best to optimize and prevent those leaks, right. And if you need to use technology to bridge some of that, then you should, right.
Use it, yeah.
So that's the key thing for me, really. And like you said, you talked about lost leads. Like again, when we've done lost leads analysis and we've dug into it, like third parties are able to generate sales out of leads that salespeople have said are lost sales, right? And like to a high degree, right? Again, I've seen a company convert like 10 or 15% of lost leads into sales. Well, they were always going to be sales. It's just for some reason that lead was closed down by the business. And like these companies exist because there's business there. Well, why are we letting that happen? Why do these companies exist? If we can create software and technology that allows our customers to convert those leads at a much higher rate, these companies don't need to, don't need to exist. Any
business that wants to keep customers, you need to keep customers. I mean, it's such a vital resource, not just for the sale of the vehicle, but we talked about having, what could you then, vehicles of a certain age might need a warranty. So you actually sell them a service pack. You keep the customer in that relationship with you and your business for longer.
Yeah.
You can then hit them again in 3 years, 5 years, whenever they're ready to repurchase.
Yeah. And some of the things I've seen as well happen, and I just think that's frustrating as a customer, where the customer said, I'm really busy, I'm working in the day, please send me an email. And then the salesperson calls them in the middle of the day. And then the customer doesn't answer because they're in a meeting or whatever, working in their busy lives. And then the salesperson will try and call again, and then they'll say, that's a lost lead. And you think, well, you've not read what the customer's asked you to do. If you just responded via email like they asked you, that you'd probably be in a process with them, right?
Yeah.
That lead.
They'd pick it up at home when they got back, and they could pick up their life.
Yeah.
Personally,
and I understand it's a lot easier to pick up the phone and do a deal over the phone. I totally get it, right? And this is why we're introducing these AI tools that help do some of that heavy lifting. Salespeople like dealing with the customers that are in front of them. They like them to be in the showroom. Trading, distance selling is quite difficult. But again, we'll use the AI to nurture those people and just hand off the hot leads to salespeople. And that AI will help plug some of those holes in that leaking bucket at the top of the funnel.
Yeah. So, Anson, on this episode, we like to ask every guest to do a bit of myth busting with us. So I'm going to ask you to do some myth busting with me now about automotive retail tech.
The myth is, walk-in customers just walk in, right? That is a myth, right? Like 99, if not 99.99% of customers look at a website before they turn up in a showroom, right? And they're well armed. They know the information. They've done their research, right? So I think just assuming that a customer who's walked in off the street hasn't done their research is something that needs to be addressed. In most cases, I think those customers probably know more than the salespeople, right?
Yeah.
Because again, there's a wealth of information out there. There's review sites, there's the industry sites, there's the likes of like these industry publications that talk about cars. There's YouTube, right? So there's
lots of ways from your sort of initial trigger to get to where you've got to that get you into that space. Is there any, we didn't even talk about this in the main episode, but I just thought about it. Is there any difference in the way people shop and buy online, like demographically different ways that people shop and buy online that we could arm retailers with, either age, gender, location?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that first party data yet to answer that question. We will do the more of our My Accounts that we roll out. So we will know the demographics of the traffic coming in.
Yeah.
And I look at my own personal experiences, right? I would assume there's a big slug of customers in the middle that, if you look at other verticals, people are buying stuff online. People are buying holidays online, right? They're buying big ticket items, right? Similar prices to cars, right? So I think we should probably look at other verticals, right, and take some ideas from these businesses, and that's what I do. I look at all other verticals and go, right. And again, I talked about the airline industry, I talked about the travel industry. Again, I look at lots of the stuff that they do. I think, well, why can't we do that in automotive? So that to me is like a key thing to look into.
Massive. Okay, so for you then, Anson, just thinking about your own personal sort of tech usage, what are the tech tools that you can't live without?
At the moment, the thing I can't live without is Copilot.
Okay, really? Yeah.
It's and I've used lots of them. I've used Claude. I've used various ChatGPT. Yes. I've used lots of them. We even built our own one back in the day, right? Using some Amazon services, and I really do find that it gives me superpowers. I can do way more work, right? I join a meeting, right? It takes all the notes. It takes all the minutes. Yeah, it gets the odd 5% incorrect. But I can live with that, right? Because it's getting me like 90% of the way there, and I just have to skim read it and go, oh, you got that wrong, I'll just update that. So Copilot really is, I think it's a fabulous tool to give you extra capacity.
Yeah.
What I've learned with Copilot, some people say, it doesn't really work or whatever, but it's all about the prompt, right? If you're good at writing the prompt for Copilot, it can pretty much do 90% of what you want it to do, right? I got it to write me a strategy document the other day. I pointed at a few different SharePoint sites. It read all the documentation, and what it provided back, I was gobsmacked at how coherent and how well it was written. And like I looked at it, I tweaked a few bits of it, but it literally got me 85% of the way there. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome, right?
That's really interesting. I didn't realize that was a the first time that's come up on the podcast so far, actually, even though we've done a whole series on AI. Okay, so what's exciting you, most exciting innovation that you're thinking that might be coming or is coming that you're kind of excited about?
So the real big thing that I've been thinking about is marketing, right?
Okay.
And I really do think, if you look at today, what happens is you'll cut a list of customers when you want to do a marketing campaign. You might build a beautiful looking email and have a landing page, and you'll send that email out to 10,000 people, and you'll sit and you'll wait to see what happens. And you pray that they first open it and then they click on something and they come to your website and do something else, right?
Yeah.
So the bit I don't like about this mass email marketing, it's very unpersonalized. Okay, you can change the name in there.
You can tell it's been mass produced.
It's mass produced, right? Yeah. So the big thing that we're looking at now in products is how can we optimize that process, right? So one of the things we're looking at, a new hub called Journey Hub, and what Journey Hub will do is it will use AI, but it will have one-on-one conversations with people, right? Rather than having this mass email, it will still have a similar message, but it will work out through conversation, right? Through WhatsApp, through an email conversation, right? Through SMS, however it decides to do it. But it will be able to put you into a campaign and have a conversation with you. And I feel like that will resonate and that will convert much higher than that mass email marketing approach, right? So Journey Hub is all around one-on-one personalized conversations, using AI agents to have those conversations with you. And again, like, because it's a piece of software, you don't actually have to give it budget, right? You could take the budget you would give to acquisition marketing and go, actually, is there more customers in my finance book that I can give a bit of support to help the customers out of a negative equity situation? So, historically, those negative equity deals are hard to convert into a new deal. Well, rather than giving the money to Google or to one of the other marketing channels, use it as support, right, to help the customers out of the car and into a new car.
OEMs have tactical spend anyway for this activity, whether it's 0% finance or upfront deposit contribution. So you're looking at maybe doing dynamic retention pricing rather than dynamic. So you start to look at how you optimize. God, that's really clever.
Yeah, it really is. It's really interesting. And like, this thing is like, it's not like your traditional marketing campaign. You cut a list, you send the email. This thing is always on, right? It's listening to the data. It's looking for the signals, right? It's seeing, you might have been on the website or you might have just come in for a service, right? It's crunching that data to work out, are you at that equity point, that parity point in your contract? You look at all the other data points and work out exactly the right time to contact you with the right offer. Now, to me, that seems game changing. I feel like this will have, significant conversion improvements. I think it will drive a whole new level of profitability for our customers.
The thing is, if you're looking at, we think it'll have significant conversion improvements, but you can track it in real time and start to literally test and learn.
Yeah.
We talk about agile. My God, it's automated agile, isn't it? It's going to continue. The engine will just keep tweaking different offers to see.
And that's it.
And then you'll kind of go with that.
The beauty about AI is we feed the outcome back into the AI, right? So it's self-learning all the time. It's optimizing itself to work out what's working best, what's resonating best with certain cohorts of customers or certain customers who drive certain cars, right? So this thing, once it gets going and you've got the outcome data going back into it, it will be like this self-fulfilling prophecy that just keeps getting better and better and better at converting these customers or these conversations into, metal, right? So a car, a part, or an accessory, or a service, whatever it takes.
Yeah. The other kind of question, which is more of a personal one, that is nothing to do with work, but we always talk about road trips because obviously we're an automotive podcast. It's a global auto tech podcast, but really we're about cars and road trips and driving. So Anson, road trip destination for you, either one you've been on or one that you want to go on. What would you kind of add to our road trip?
But it's not really a road trip. I'll have to get on a plane, but it would be Australia. I've not been to Australia yet.
Oh, nice.
I don't fancy the flight because it's so long. I'm not a great flyer. But everything I see and read about Australia, it looks like a great place to visit. So
could you do like hops on the way down?
Maybe, yeah. I did think about that. I mean, the typical stop in Singapore or Dubai. And
which bit of Australia?
I would say Queensland.
Ah,
yeah, so I do the old Gold Coast.
Nice.
Yeah, bit beaches, bit surfing.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have got one of our colleagues has gone down to Australia. What you should maybe do is a product roadshow. It's like organise that, and then you can do some demos down them while you're there.
Yeah,
that's a good
I'll
idea.
try that.
And what you're going to listen to. So the other thing we always ask every guest is we have a podcast playlist that we're building in Spotify and Apple. What would you like to add? What song do you want to add to our playlist or band?
My guilty pleasure. So I quite like house music.
Really?
I like Ibiza tunes. I like chill out tracks. But one of my favourite groups is Swedish House Mafia.
Okay.
And my favourite song from them is "Don't You Worry, Child." It's
good choice.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's dear to me. I like the lyrics in it. So yeah, that's my choice.
Okay, Don't You Worry, Child, Swedish House Mafia. Okay, we're going to add it to the playlist. It's like the little, by the time we get to the end of the year, we're hoping to do a thing back here at the end of the year. We'll play the playlist. Maybe omit a couple of them. Play the playlist in full.
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant. Anson Moniz, thank you again so much for your gear change episode on the Drivetime podcast. That was really good. And I'm really excited about what is coming from your product domains. No pressure. Brilliant. Thanks, Anson.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks again to Anson Moniz, who's the VP of Product for Keyloop, for joining me again in the studio for this week's Gear Change episode of the Drivetime podcast. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, please do give us a like or subscribe. Gets the numbers up. And also, you'll never miss an episode of the Drivetime podcast.